Welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardinellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And as you guys may have heard, Andrew Yang has dropped another very good, very funny video with Dave Chappelle that's actually encouraging people to show up and caucus for Andrew Yang. 'Tis the season to caucus for Andrew Yang.
Finally.
And he's, what?
Finally, one of these endorsees did this. So.
Yes, finally somebody did it. And he's actually calling people to caucus for him. And we will watch the video. It's funny. It's good. We're going to watch it. But it begged the question. It made me think, okay, we're always talking about when is the correct time to peak. Well, what data could there be out there in cyberspace that shows what's the sweet spot for releasing a video and when somebody actually acts upon that call to action? There has to be data out there showing when political ads specifically are the most effective. Is it a day before, so it's fresh on their memory? Is it a month before, so they can plan? Is a month too early because they will have forgot? Is a day too late because, oh, not enough time, I got a soccer game? Is it a week? What is it? What is the data? What is the math? We went looking and we found some from Google itself that's actually quite intriguing and shows how specifically political ads do, and has a special subset of data showing how all the political ads fared in the 2016 election in the months and or weeks and even individualized days leading up to the Iowa caucuses. So we're going to dive into the commercial and dive in the data to hopefully get a little better idea of how well this thing is going to do and how well it could do. So to start us off, Cody, tell us about the commercial.
Well, I just thought, yeah, exactly. I thought it was funny. This came across. They actually emailed me. It's not very often I get. Actually, they do email me.
We get emails every day, dude.
No, but I mean about the political ads. Not every political ad gets an
yeah.
email. This one did. And it's very cool. Like I said, finally we got one of these videos. I've been waiting for something like this for a while. An advertisement with Andrew Yang, one of these people that's famous who endorsed him, and them just being natural and being themselves. Andrew's a little bit stiff, but I don't blame him. Anyway,
and he's reading off a card.
We're on the ad. It's a short little ad. I want you guys to see it, and we'll talk about it after.
Hi, I'm Chris Tucker.
I'm Jackie Chan.
I'm just kidding. I'm Dave Chappelle, and this is the guy I want to be president, Andrew Yang.
And we need you to commit to caucus on February 3rd. Go to yang2020.com/Iowa. You know, the internet.
$12,000 on the line.
A year. Forever.
If you're not in Iowa and you want to help support him, get on your phone, call your friends, text people, post on social media, and if you got the cash, then donate. FaceTime Chris Tucker.
Making a FaceTime call to Chris Tucker.
Stop saying you're me, Dave. Come on, man.
So, very, very obviously, very cute little video they put together there. But
I liked it more when he said he was Rick James.
Yeah, well,
Rick James.
He's been doing they did the Chris Tucker, I think, when he called when he was phone banking as well. But I mean, it just we've kind of talked a ton. Not too much more to say. We've talked a ton about Dave Chappelle and what he's been doing over the last few weeks for the Andrew Yang campaign. But finally, we've been calling for this for a while. Finally, Andrew and one of these people, not even someone famous who endorsed him, just Andrew sitting down talking to some influential person about a thing.
Yeah.
And hey, if that thing they're talking about is coming out to caucus on February 3rd, that's a pretty good thing to be talking about. But say that was just my quick thoughts.
Yeah, and I love seeing people get off their duff. I've said this a million one times too. There's nothing more beautiful than when somebody puts their money where their mouth is, especially when it's something controversial. So I just hats off to Dave Chappelle for actually doing this and kind of put a little bit of his heart into it. I love that kind of thing. It did lead me to think, though, okay, it's not the first celebrity commercial we've seen. You see celebrity commercials all the time. But it had a unique bend saying, okay, look, we need you to specifically go caucus, okay? As we all know, the caucuses are coming up February 3rd, and here we're sitting at the 31st.
You think that was actually Chris Tucker? Sorry, I forgot to bring that up. You think that was actually Chris Tucker he got in the FaceTime? Or that
Oh, no. I don't think it was.
Okay.
I think he just changed a number in his cell phone to say Chris Tucker, and I bet you they did it on the spot, and they just had an intern fake an accent because, first off, it didn't sound like Chris Tucker.
It didn't.
You know what I'm saying? So whoever was faking it did about as good a job as I do trying to fake Dave Chappelle's accent. It wasn't a Cardinellis Bernie Sanders impression. It was a Cardinellis Dave Chappelle impression. And then second off, there's probably legal ramifications.
I was just thinking that too.
yeah.
Like maybe he doesn't endorse Andrew Yang. He doesn't want to be in a political ad for him.
Yeah, or maybe he's just like completely clueless. And the second any one of these Hollywood actors that has any kind of representation or agents or lawyers got a chance to get a hold of somebody for something, it would be absolutely murderous. So I guarantee you, he just saved the name Chris Tucker in his phone as one of these little interns' phones. And it probably wasn't even his phone. It was probably a campaign phone anyway. So anyway, this did beg a question. How effective is this? Okay. It's been a little bit dicey trying to figure out what is most effective between television and online and new media and print media and so on and so forth. Okay. If any of the politicians knew which one is truly the most effective overall, there wouldn't be half the arguments that we have in both Hollywood and Washington, D.C. But we do have some data about when is good, at least for online media, which obviously this is. Okay, this wasn't a TV commercial. This was made directly for web. And the data is pretty interesting because Google has actually tracked the success of a lot of the online traffic to these videos through previous elections, most recently, specifically, the Iowa caucuses of 2016. Cody, could you illuminate us?
Yeah, well, this is part of a larger article, a study, I believe, done by it is How Political Ads and Video Content Influence Voter Opinion. This is from March 2016. This was published, as you mentioned. They mentioned this one interesting thing right here. It's, of course, part of a study through
it's through Google itself, so of course they're probably not. They're not being humble with their stats,
but
you
still,
know.
Since April 2015, people have watched more than 110 million hours. April 15 to March 16, by the way, not to date. And issues related content on YouTube. That's 100 times the amount of time it would take to watch all content ever aired in CNN, C-SPAN, MSNBC, and Fox News combined. Wow, that's a lot. But the relevant data we're looking for here is they showed this is the watch time trends for videos related to the Iowa caucuses over time. And I will say that now remember the Iowa caucuses were February 1st, 2016. They're going to be February 3rd in 2020. That's the year it is currently, 2020. So taking a look at that, about, as you pointed out, 3 days or so, which coincidentally, I'm assuming the caucus is generally probably on a Monday. So like the Friday before is when interest will like really takes a big, like the Thursday, Friday before interest spikes. And then you get the weekend where, of course, you're going to see a natural dip. And then you'll notice, of course, everyone gets super interested in the caucuses a few days after they happen to see who won.
To see what happened, yeah.
By the time you're a week out from the caucuses, what a footnote that was. However, as you mentioned, you definitely don't want to be publishing stuff on the weekend about it if you're the candidate. You want to get this stuff out in front of people during the week still. And there's now it is late on the East Coast, getting towards we're recording this on Friday, so it is getting a little bit closer. However, it is interesting to note that that does seem to be the time you want the stuff out. And also, you look, there's that kind of for the week before things bottom out, and again, I'm assuming the weekend. It looked like in 2016 they saw a smaller floor even during the weekend. People were
can you zoom in on this a little bit, just because I want the audience to be able to see that on this graph of watch time trends for videos related to the Iowa caucuses. Yes, it's got its pits and its valleys and so on and so forth, but you can see along the y-axis on the bottom, or wait, is that the x-axis or the y-axis? The bottom axis. Sorry. These intervals are actually spaced for every 5 days. Okay, so here we've got 1/20/16, 1/25/16, 1/30/16, and then 2/5/16. Now, I wish sometimes that this was kind of like Steve Madden was in the early 2000s, where he had that little pen, and whenever he wanted to, just mark, wow, you see the linebacker here is going to come around to and they'd be able to draw on the. I know, I can't do a Steve Madden one.
No, I'm sorry, please.
What?
I hate to do that. I don't do this on purpose, man. I take no pleasure in this.
What?
But I believe Steve Madden designed shoes for women or men maybe as well. John Madden definitely talked about football.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
But,
Steve Madden's the shoe designer. That shows you how much I follow sports right there. John Madden. I totally apologize. Steve Madden's the shoe designer.
Steve Madden boots. Here we go.
Yeah, no, Steve Madden is the shoe designer. My wife has Steve Madden's. I'm such an idiot. So anyway, yes, it's John Madden. I apologize. Thank you, Cody. You are clairvoyant as an oracle.
Well, you confused me. I'm like, Steve Madden.
No,
what
like
did he-
John
the
Madden.
shoe
Like
guy?
Madden football.
Yeah, that'd be John Madden.
So anyway, like I'll just say the football and sports announcers, sometimes I wish here in the Problem Solver Politics studio that I could actually just superimpose a line on this graph so you could kind of see what the true normal was, because these things always kind of have a little bit of a curve to them. And you'll notice that the peak and the climax on this video of pre-caucus viewership happens literally about 2 to 3 days before the actual caucus itself. So I don't know if Andrew Yang actually planned this because he's, quote, better at the internet, or if it just was happenstance that he released this on the 31st, which is exactly 1, 2, 3 days before the Iowa caucus. So it looks like, whether he meant to or not, and we're not sure, we wouldn't put it past him because him and his staff are smart people, I'm sure. And I bet you that we're not the first people to see this website and this data.
Well, again, I think it's just they typically caucus on Monday. So yeah, that Friday before is that last big spike. It's because during the weekend, it's funny. Even people who it's the weekend, man. People aren't thinking about the caucuses, even if they're tomorrow. Especially.
But do you think of just your Monday plans specifically only on Friday, or do you kind of like? I would think more like the Tuesday or the Wednesday before, right? Or am I just hyper responsible?
No, yeah, most people. Hey, you would think the most busy shopping day for Christmas would be like the 23rd or whatever it is. But hey, that's the one. It's probably at the same thing, like that last day before the stores close. And looking at this as well, what we have with this year is interesting. I think you want to get stuff out earlier, perhaps than later. This year as well is Super Bowl's on Sunday, and as I'm bringing it up again because if I get owned, I always like to bring it up. I showed my little American geography experience in one of our previous live streams. Kansas City is indeed close to Iowa. It's about a couple hours away. So I'm imagining there's probably a lot of Iowa. You could probably, I'll pull it up right now. We'll look at the current YouTube trends for YouTube search trends for the Super Bowl in Iowa because I have to or Google Trends. Either way, I have to imagine it's a lot because it's the Super Bowl is a pretty big game. I know there's a lot of people out there probably are not big fans, don't really care, but trust me, man, Super Bowl is a pretty big game. So
hey, it's the number 2 trend of the past 24 hours, behind Brexit, behind my brothers and sisters fighting for their freedom in England.
That's global, yes.
Yeah, I know. Come on, man. That's where it's at right there. So anyway, whether he meant to or not, it's definitely the sweet spot in terms of time to drop the ad, and we commend the campaign for this decision. We commend them for actually putting together a pretty funny ad too. You'd be surprised. I don't think Amy Klobuchar could have pulled off this good of a video. And I really did think it was very, very funny. The whole "I'm Jackie Chan" or "I'm John Yang." Well, who did he say he was? What Asian actor did he say he was instead of Andrew Yang?
Jackie Chan.
He said Jackie Chan?
Famously in Rush Hour with
Chris Tucker. See? There we go. Boom shakalaka. So anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty funny. And it's really interesting to me that 3 days before seems to be the sweet spot and where kind of like all of the trends lie. So anyway, what day do you got here? It's looking pretty cool, but I don't really understand what all these jagged lines mean.
Okay, so this should
be. It looks really intimidating.
I hope I got this right, and this is just if I'm putting this stuff in correctly.
It looks like a seismograph before like the Martin Luther King Day
This is
quake of
YouTube
94.
searches in the state of Iowa over the past 7 days, and I put in 2 search terms. I put in Super Bowl and I put in caucus. Now, I understand caucus might not be the most popular term. However, you can clearly see that over the past 7 days in Iowa, Super Bowl is really, really... But look, you'll know... Wait, can I show you something, though? Which is pretty funny. You'll notice that even for the Super Bowl, less interest on the weekends, it looks like. It looks like people... And I think the biggest part of that just comes from, in general, less people on YouTube, right? So if we're talking about YouTube, these are YouTube searches.
Yeah, everybody bottoms out in those 2 days. Just everybody does.
So, I mean, it's interesting.
In fact, the caucus seems to be doing better on some of these weekends. The red line actually is higher, especially here, right in the smack dab center of the graph.
There's only so much talk about in the Super Bowl.
So maybe that's what people are doing in Iowa when they come home from church. They're talking politics and not talking sports.
Well, there was no football game last Sunday. Well, there was the Pro Bowl, but there was no football game last Sunday.
All right. So Andrew Yang knows the sweet spot right now. Anyway, let us know what you guys think. Please leave a comment below if there's something that we missed. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PSP Radio 1, on Instagram under Problem Solver Politics, and hang out with us on our streams Mondays and Thursdays. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.